The reason I have started this in 2020 and I'm making this for the entire decade, because I've been noticing that more and more people now want to have their personal brand. There are many, let's say, content creators or personal brand coaches who are actually teaching how to develop personal brand. Hi guys, I am Waqas Hassan and welcome to the lesson 5 of our 4-week series on how to build your personal brand and scale beyond 10,000 followers and eventually make money. In today's lesson, we are going to take further what we started in lesson 4. And that was, in lesson 4 we did, what are some of the skills you've acquired, at least 5. What are some of the things that you've developed knowledge in, at least 5, and what are some of the challenges that you've overcome. In today's lesson, I'm going to help you plot those things in a certain matrix. Before that, just realize that please subscribe to the YouTube channel and hit the notifications icon on so that you are with me in this journey and even beyond that. Okay, so the big idea here is that when you look at creating content or being an influencer or having your personal brand in, not every kind of brand is equal. There will be some things that you will be developing your brand in which yet there might not be many people consuming that content, let's say. It might not be very highly receivable, but you will know that in the future, things are going in that direction. That is what people want. A perfect example is our series, How to Build Your Personal Brand. The reason I have started this in 2020 and I'm making this for the entire decade, because I've been noticing since my influencer life for the last 2 years that more and more people now want to have their personal brand. There are many, let's say, content creators or personal brand coaches who are actually teaching how to develop personal brand. So this is, let's say, a low demand or growing demand and low influencers. But I know for the next 10 years it is going somewhere. But then you might have skills or knowledge or challenges that are in markets where there are many influencers, but at the same time there's high demand as well, and which is perfectly fine. An example is, let's say, travel hacks, travel tips. There are so many people making travel content, right? But at the same time there is so much demand as well, and probably demand is going to continue as much future we can see. People would want to travel. So fitness is another example, physical fitness. There are so many people with all these gym videos and chisel labs and all that stuff, but at the same time, there is a high market for that and market is going to stay. And then there's, of course, going to be a category where there are high demand but very low influencers. And that is what is pretty much, if you want to have the quickest returns, that is the kind of category. But again, I've gone ahead of myself, but coming back here. So all the skills and the knowledge that you've acquired and the challenges you've overcome will now be plotted here to basically understand that if you were to choose just, let's say, one idea, one personal brand, one category, which one it should be. There is a proper method to find out what are the, let's say, demand and supply dynamics for each of these things, each of your skills and knowledge and challenges that you've overcome. And these are Facebook audience insights. We're not going to go into detail of each one of them, how to use them, because each one of them is like a 30-minute video to really teach you, but you can still look it up. It's pretty simple. Here are these. There's Facebook audience insights too. I think business insights, all that stuff. You can just put in the country, audience, interest, and then see how many millions of people are there. Then you can just use pretty simple Instagram search bar or YouTube search bar to put in your skill, whatever skill that you have in your previous worksheet. Put in those skills and then see what kind of influencers are there, what kind of content creators are there, how many of them are making them, what kind of content exists. So just get an idea. Is it a lot? It's like big players are there or not, so on and so forth. Then you can use something like Quora, which I personally use as well. Pretty simple. Use it as Facebook or a YouTube search bar. Just whatever you search in the YouTube search bar, put in the Quora search bar. This Quora is basically, for me, YouTube of written content. Similarly, all the content will come up. Then you can also use Google Trends. Now, Google Trends is pretty interesting because Google Trends will show you, let's say, in your selected region, country, or the world, the last 12 months or more than that, how the trend has been. Is it declining, increasing? And compare that trend to something else. So let's say I have two courses, IELTS and PTE online courses. I can see the trend. I know that IELTS market is, let's say, 4 times higher than PTE market in Asia, just because I can see these trends in Google Trends. So you can use these tools to figure out the supply and demand dynamics, and it has to be very generic, very ballpark, very general. It's not like exactly how many millions, but it will help to understand and help you plot in the metrics. So without further ado, I'm going to take you to the metrics now. And how do you access that metrics? The link is below this video in the description. Download the worksheet for lesson 5. Okay, let's get into it. Here in front of me is the worksheet 2 of identifying your niche and demand metrics. So use tools like Google Trends, YouTube and Instagram search bar, Facebook Audience Insights, Quora to get a general idea of audience demand and influencer supply for each of your idea from the idea mapping worksheet, which was the worksheet 1 of identifying your niche. Now, when you look at it, you see that this is a matrix with 4 columns. There's a ripe market, there's a growing market, there's a gone market, and there is a potential market. Yep, trademark to yours truly for these names for these markets. High demand and many influencers is what is ripe market. High demand and few influencers or few content creators. It's the growing market. Then there's low demand and many people in that space, gone. And potential is where the demand is low yet and there are few influencers. Personally, I like to operate in this region, but you can operate in either of these 3 regions, all is fine. What you have to do is that you have to take each skill and the knowledge and the challenge that you've overcome in the previous worksheet and plot it here. So just to give some examples here. So for example, from general idea 1, when you look at travel hacks and tips or physical fitness, you know that there's a high demand for it. There's so many people consuming travel content. They want to travel the world. This is what is their almost like a dream. Similarly, they want to become fit, whether buffed up or toned or chiseled or just stamina, so on and so forth. But at the same time, you know, in the past, I don't know, 2 to 3 years, let's just on Instagram or other platforms as well, these 2 are the categories that have most influencers. People become either travel vloggers, travel photographers, or physical fitness into as well. So this is the space where there's high demand, many influencers. Now this is not necessarily a bad thing, because if there's high demand and the demand is going to stay for the next 10 years, you're pretty much set. But of course, there will be more challenges to then eventually have business in these fields, because there are a lot of people who have now already, let's say, providing a lot of services here, and this is a tough space to deal in. But of course, if you're good, and then you can penetrate this entire right market as well. When you look at growing market, and let's say if your skills, knowledge, your challenges are in this category of growing market where there's high demand from the audience, but there are few influencers or content creators, and examples are side income strategies. Let's say how to freelance better or how to develop online business. There are not many people who are authentic and who have solid content in this space yet, but each one of the audience member, everybody who's on Instagram or in the world, want to know how they can earn on the side with their university or jobs. Similarly, in the personal grooming space or styling space or mental fitness, these are the space where there is a growing need, but there aren't many people. And while just doing this, I just realized that, let's say, social skills is something that people want to become good in English or confident speaker and public speaker. There aren't many people who are teaching it properly. Then there's a gone market and things like motivational quotes. I mean, we all have seen these kind of things erupt. There are similarly, let's say, entrepreneurial quotes. There are 10 business ideas to start kind of gimmicks. Like, these things really worked in 2016, 17, 18, even 19, but this decade are not for these kind of stuff. if you want to have your own personal brand and you think that you can just have motivational quotes or any similar example that I just gave, it's not gonna work. There's like already demand is gone, people have moved on, and there are so many people who have developed their brands in this space. And then there is a market which I personally really like, because I look at everything from a 10-year perspective, and that is, let's say, low demand and few influencers. But the demand is increasing, so it's a potential market, and that is online education. Every course that is being taught offline, there could be standardized testing, there could be proper programming courses, they could be maths or whatever, tips for that, everything. You can have your YouTube, let's say, channel in one of the course that you're good in, and you know that this is going to work. Similarly, productivity, time management, procrastination, not many people actually consume that kind of content yet, but we all know that these are the big challenges, and there could be in a few years a big need for this kind of content and services, and further on even business as well. But there aren't many people who are good in that as well. So this is our worksheet 2 demand metrics that you have to download now, and you have to fill it for yourself before you move on to the next lesson. And as you go through it, by now you will have your skills and knowledge at one half that you did in the previous lesson, and the other half once you plotted that in the matrix. Again, it doesn't have to be accurate, because I want you to just do it. Doing is more important than doing it right at this stage. Through your experiences, you will refine things. With that, we have come to the end of lesson 5, and lesson 6, we are now going to define your audience, their hopes and pain points and dreams. So whatever you've done in lesson 4 and 5, how to then match it with the right people. And see you in lesson 6. And as always, do not forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel and turn the notifications on. Hit the like button, comment. I am replying to comments, at least for now. If you have any doubts, do ask in the comments, and I will see you in the next lesson. Take care. Have a splendid day.